Okay. I think we should be good to go. Okay, so this is live now, which is good.
But that's the screen you want me to be in charge of, right?
Yeah, I think the thing that we're going to do for right now is if,
Can you send me that link?
yes.
Sorry about fake smacking.
That's all right. Okay. So there's the link.
Hey.
Okay, sweet.
Wow, this huge latency.
Huh?
Like a long latency.
I think I set it to the lowest latency possible here.
Wow.
Um, I don't know if there's anything else that I can do here, but yeah, I think
So,
that's most of it. Yeah, I think this is as good as we're going to get, which, you know,
how do you want to do this
yeah.
today?
Okay, so I think the plan that I had was I'm going to, you know, I just need to go take some photos of those real quick.
Okay.
Just so that, and then I can upload those here.
Okay.
And
I have my
then,
phone here if you want to just.
yeah. Um,
Here.
yeah,
All of them?
yeah.
I just slapped them to you, right?
Yeah. I think what I was going to do is I wanted to demonstrate the like just photo upload feature as one of the things that I was going to talk about today.
Okay.
Right. So I'll have all of these preloaded except for one, and I'll just demonstrate with the one. Do you see what I mean?
Do you want to do that today? It just seems like we're introducing more
Okay.
technology.
Yeah, that
Maybe
makes
let's just
sense.
test run without it, just to
Yeah.
see what it's like. So I'll just Vicky, that's not okay. Okay, so we can't have in the room and record for real, for real.
Huh?
I'm gonna ask Andre to look after when we're recording for real, because I don't want her to bark.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, send them to you via Slack.
Okay.
I guess I'm just trying to understand. Because in an ideal world, all you are doing, all you see is Viscom, and I would
Yeah.
do the stream, but right now I just see the stream. So
Well, so I think the thing is, like, this is my personal YouTube account, right?
yeah,
But I think the ideal thing would be that we'd both be logged into the Viscom account.
I'm
Right.
logged into Viscom right now.
Right, but we're not streaming to the Viscom account currently because this is just our test run. But when we do it for
Could
real,
we hide it so people can't see it so we can actually test it out? I mean, if no one has the link, they're not going to know we're live streaming, right?
No, it sends unless you make it like private, which I think you can do. It will actually send a notification to like YouTube's people who
Ooh,
are
okay.
subscribers.
Let's not do that.
Here, why don't you go and try something though? Go to create, hit create up there, and then hit go live. Okay. No, don't do webcam. Just go to stream up here. Yeah. Okay. So there's usually a setting for yeah. Hit edit. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. So now it's private. So we could do it this way too. If you can give me the login to the Viscom YouTube account. That's yeah, I think that's the thing.
How did I log in? How did I log in? Oh man. Who would know? It's gonna be Nico will know. Is he online? No. He didn't know. Riza will know. He's not online either. Maybe Amy? I'll ask marketing. Who gave this to me? Wait, maybe I can check in here.
Okay, well you figure that out. I think these photos are just a little bit like askew. Do you mind if I just retake these real quick?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So I didn't think it mattered.
I think it does only because like the smaller this is, the lower resolution it is. Like in the frame. That's the only thing. Try to keep a little bit more. Like I'll be right back.
Okay.
response?
I'm getting in touch with Jordan and with Stefo. I feel like one of those guys will know.
Okay. I think it should be okay if we don't do it that way also. Because we don't technically have any questions coming in right now. I think we can just mock it as though like you just asked me some question that you would see on the stream, you know?
Yeah, so if I just go to the live stream, what we can do, I can just pretend for this
Exactly, yeah.
for this version, I can just pretend to be like
you can pretend that something's coming in, a question came in that you'd read from the live stream chat and then just ask me.
And then, but do I ask you live or do I just?
That is a good question, actually, because we don't have another mic, right?
And I don't want the mic to pick me up, or do I?
I think honestly, like maybe a little bit conversational wouldn't be that bad, but we can try it. Like
let's do that then, because there's something nice about like just having two people chat and like. But I do think we need to bring this.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's a little better.
Yeah, I think it's just like just move it to wherever you want, and I can like tilt it from the Insta360, like the software.
This is pretty good. I'm gonna sit back a little bit. We do have a lot of like space above us.
Yeah.
That's okay.
We can change. Yeah, we could do this. Is the OBS window up?
Yeah. So you'd be sitting here. It's good, yes, and then we just need to unskew it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that we can do.
Okay, and then
here, there's you can just do that automatically.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, my laptop is in here, but I can.
And then I just have to remember to look at the camera.
You don't have to. I mean.
My hair is also doing all sorts of crazy stuff today, but.
I look so old. My bad.
That's like the annoying part about being on camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's no, right. No. Go lie down. Just ignore her. She'll go to sleep in a second. Mind you.
You're speaking to her in
Flemish.
Flemish. Okay.
Ellie, mind you.
Do you speak like fluent Flemish?
Yes.
Wow.
It's useless. It's like literally no one is speak. Good girl. Look at her. Good girl. Go to sleep.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Do you think we might be done by 4?
Yeah.
Okay, because then I'm going to tell George I can meet with him at 4.
Okay.
All right.
Just go to Google Photos.
I don't like seeing myself. I'm going to make it smaller. Can I make this smaller?
I guess I see why Figgy was staring at himself in the mirror. Herself in the mirror?
Herself.
I don't know why. Figgy just has a very spunky attitude.
She's a tomboy. She pees
Yeah.
like a boy too. When I got her as a puppy,
Oh yeah,
she started doing. I was like, huh, interesting. Okay.
that's funny. Okay.
She does seem more like a boy.
Yeah, I didn't. I just get that vibe.
She's good though.
Yeah, okay, so we got this. Let's go. We'll go here. Okay.
We should get some cool filter or something, like some cool studio lights.
Yeah, something like that.
Actually, I have this plugin for YouTube that is like, you can do all kinds of stuff like change it to sepia,
Oh, what?
color inversion. See, I like that.
Whoa, that's. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Wow, it's very cool.
Okay, so now we're gonna be like this
I like
size-ish.
this is good.
That's like our size with the Viscom window. How's that look to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. And then I'll put my like I put like the little keys.
So
Yeah, okay, cool.
so I am gonna turn off the sound because obviously I'm sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can wait, but it's gonna go into your headphones, right? You want to.
It is, but it's lag. So while you're talking.
Oh yeah.
So, fuck it. Let's just give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to record this on the screen, on my screen, and you can look back at it?
We'll get like a recording done of this, right? Like.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we will. Yeah, streams always like they get saved.
Okay, they get saved. Okay.
I just want to run these. So the plan is like I just want to show like I think remove background is like a good thing to show for like sketches. But I want to get like if I have 6 of them, I don't want to do 6 of them
Okay.
on
So
screen, right?
let me just put some do not disturb. What are we aiming for time wise?
I think we said around 30 minutes, right? That
Okay.
feels good to me.
So do you want, when we start these live streams, it might be nice for each of us to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll be like, and then maybe you will introduce the lesson itself. Are you calling them lessons? What do you want to call them? Tutorial?
The topic.
The topic.
Yeah.
Okay. And then okay, then I will just say I'll be the moderator, I'll be taking your questions and etc. etc.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think we'll do this one on the stream because I like that sketch the best. Okay, so there's our sketches. It's cool. We got like what, 18, 19, 20, something like that. I think that's a good number. Okay, so yeah, I guess the question is like, I think the ideal thing would be if we do arrange here, and then let's these down here. So we can start with like a, yeah, we can start with like an empty workbench, but then we can like pan over to the blank one. Yeah, okay.
However you want to do
Yeah,
it.
all right, sounds good.
So because this is a little bit laggy, I'm gonna maybe be watching what you do here.
Okay.
And then
I think you should be watching what I do there actually, just because like in
I'll
real
keep an eye
life,
on both,
right?
yeah.
The questions will be responding to what's coming from here. Do you see what I mean? Not
But
so.
I think those will be pretty immediate, like, hello, this is a question. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And I've moved on ahead, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But I won't hear what you're saying, but because I'm listening to you here.
God, that's.
I know it's so annoying, right?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's just try it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Floor and Anurag. I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm the head of education at Viscom, and I'm joined by Anurag.
Yeah.
Are you a product expert?
I'm the internal product specialist, which means.
What I will do is I'll say, and I'm here supporting Anurag in our live stream today. I'll let Anurag take it from here. I will be taking questions from everyone here. So please let me know what your questions are in the comment section and I will relay those to Anurag.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Anurag. Thank you for that warm welcome, Floor. I am an internal product specialist, which means I help Viscom develop our products, think about what we do and how that fits into designers, students, workflows, and yeah, just help our team make products that help you guys the best. My background is as an industrial designer and an automotive designer. I studied at Pratt and then worked for a few years before getting my master's in automotive design at CCS. I've done everything from automotive exterior, automotive interior, aerospace interiors as well, consumer electronics, and a little bit of soft goods work, but broad majority of my work is in automotive and electronics.
I think we should start again.
Okay.
Because I realized I saw that I'm not looking at the camera. So I also think we should zoom in a little bit on us.
Okay.
Is that possible?
I think I can do it from here actually, I think. How does that look? Because I'm gonna be looking at this for the most part during the sketching.
Yeah, that's better. And then we can work with Emily on
exactly what to say at the beginning and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna introduce myself again. I think maybe your introduction was a little long.
Sure.
I'm gonna keep mine quite short.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to our very first live stream where Anurag and I will introduce some topics that hopefully will help you work with Viscom in a more productive way. My name is Floor van der Velde. I'm the head of education here at Viscom. I deal with all our education partners and any questions from students, educators, and our EDU partners in general. I'll let Anurag take it from here.
Yeah, thanks for the welcome, Floor. My name is Anurag. I am an internal product specialist here at Viscom, which means I just help our engineering team develop products that really help designers and fit into their workflows. My background is as an industrial designer and automotive designer. I've worked on automotive exterior, automotive interior, aerospace interiors, consumer electronics, and some soft goods work. But my broad majority of work is just in automotive and electronics. But I like to think of myself as someone who's broadly interested in design, not just cars and tech, but also furniture and fashion and lots of different things, which is really important here at Viscom.
So what should we cover today?
So yeah, today, I'm going to be in my comfort zone, sketching some pickup truck exteriors and really showing how you can use Viscom in that initial stage of ideation. When you first get the brief and you've got to do 20, 30, 50 sketches, and you just want to see a little bit further down the process, once you've done the line sketches, just to see what, each of your sketches look like with a little bit of color and rendering and surface finish on them to better evaluate your designs and help you make better design decisions as you go down the process. So
as Anurag is going to be demoing, I will be here to take your questions. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we will hopefully answer your question.
Awesome. Thanks, Flor. So this is the part of Viscom that you kind of land into when you first create a new file. And this is called a workbench. So, if you have experience with Miro or any of those other kinds of whiteboarding tools, this is very similar. But this is also a creation tool as well, which is really powerful. Think of it kind of like the pinup board that you pin your work to when you're giving a presentation to your professor or to your boss or to your manager. And then when you upload a sketch, those kind of become the actual sketches that you are pinning to the pinup board. That's kind of the way that I like to think about it. So here's some sketches that I've already preloaded, but I can show you, you can, there's a couple different ways to upload a sketch, but you can just drag and drop. You can also use the plus icon up here to upload, to create a couple different things, but we're talking about image uploading. And then you can also just press the hotkey I, and that will bring up the Finder. So the first thing that you do, these are some digital sketches, but I also really like to do hand sketches. There's just like a nice sensitivity that you get that's hard to replicate. But a big problem that's just really annoying and time consuming is kind of processing these kind of, like not great photos of our sketches. So what I'm doing here is I've double clicked on one of these sketches that I uploaded. I just double clicked and I can go and enter the sketch. So now I'm in this like 2D Studio editing mode. And what I just did here was I actually used our remove background tool to isolate the line work from this kind of like not so great photo, you're in a rush, whatever. I just used that to isolate the line work and get rid of the background and just get the sketch. So this is like a good start to generating some versions of this. So now that I'm here, I can generate one of two ways. Because I'm in this early ideation phase, I think what would be really great is if I actually work in Workbench. The way that I like to think about this idea of Workbench versus 2D Studio is kind of like the idea of a sniper rifle versus a shotgun. So Workbench is kind of the shotgun where you're casting a really wide net. And 2D Studio is when you've got something there that you really like, or you want to make some precise edits in a very controlled manner, then I go into 2D Studio. So in Workbench, what I've done here is I've added a prompt block. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can either press this plus icon and hit prompt, or I can also create from, again, the same plus icon here. And then just drag and attach that to my sketch. And so this prompt icon is like the main render, main way to render in Workbench. So the easiest thing that I can do, I don't even have to really type a prompt because I know generally what this is. It's a sleek futuristic truck sketch. This is pretty good. So I've hit the describe button, and LLM will basically read this sketch and give me a kind of customized description that is pretty generic, but it is kind of tailored to help you get a good generic result. So from there, we have all of these different palettes. So palettes is kind of like the style or the the kind of the overall style and the mood and the color palette that you can choose to generate with. So we have, our general render, we have this kind of surface sculpt or volume render, which are just like really grayscale. But I like to use this car shading one, especially for exteriors, but generally any kind of like smooth flowing curve. So what I can do here is I can set my drawing influence and my palette influence. So I've just hit generate, but I'll explain to you what those two things are currently. Palette influence is the amount of influence that the style has on the output image. And then the drawing influences how closely the render will stick to the input sketch that I've put in. So I have these various levels of drawing influence, right? Like I can generate them all at once. So you can see now that this one was generated at 100% palette influence, and it looks much more like the sketch that I put in, whereas this one is at 25%, and this has changed my design pretty dramatically, right? So I kind of like this area right here, somewhere between these two. But these are just volume studies, right? What if I want something that looks a little bit more like a vehicle? Then I choose a different palette. So we have our new exterior V3 palette. And I'll try again with the same drawing influence, but I kind of know that anything below 50% is a little bit too different from the sketch that I put in. So I'll edit that. I can type that in. And let's just do, increments of 10 and see what happens. And I can also do this for these other sketches while I'm waiting for this one too. So I want to get a different prompt that's more tailored to this one. Maybe I'll go into 2D Studio and I'll just edit out these extraneous lines just using the erase tool. So I just hit E and then, erase all of these extra lines that aren't really doing anything for the design and might actually confuse our AI rendering engine. So we're still waiting for these, but I can, hit that batch render again. And then, let's take a look at what we got here. So this is like something close to what I want, but there's something a little bit not quite right with these quite yet. Let's see. So I'll organize these. I'll grab this guy. So I like this 190, 80, 70 kind of level here. So I will do that a couple times. I'll just hit Command D there to duplicate the node. And let's go back to maybe volume render, for example, right? And just we can render these out with a couple of these different palettes so you can see different effects that you get. It's also just fun to experiment. You'll get different types of form language, different interpretations of your sketch when using different palettes. Yeah, see, and this is something that I do forget to do sometimes, just that it's really important to hit that describe button again, just so that the prompt is a little bit more specific to the image that you're inputting. Yeah, so this is nice. This looks very close to, what I was imagining, right? So now it's giving me a basic kind of block in almost of what I want from this sketch right here, right? So what I can do from there, right? But, I kind of forgot, we're all just doing this really quickly. There's some of these extra lines and things that I left in that have now impacted the way that this generation looks. But instead of having to re-render, I can go back into 2D Studio, right, into this kind of more precise workflow, and I can use our magic erase tool to remove some of these extraneous details, right? So the way that I do that is I hit Shift and E, and that takes me into this magic erase mode. I'll make my brush larger using brackets, just like you would in Photoshop and a lot of other drawing tools. And I'll just select that and process. It might take a second. Yeah, and it'll remove it. Which, now that I'm realizing, actually maybe wasn't even that necessary. Because a lot of times what I like to do at this stage also is then run that remove background command again, and just get the isolated sketch. But it's kind of like removing the ghost of the wheel. So maybe what I can do here is I'll go and where is it? I'll just copy this, paste this again, and then now I can go and just go in with a black brush and just kind of draw that wheel in where I imagine it would be, or it was in my sketch actually, because you can still see the lines there. Yeah, again, just like really roughly putting it in. It's not that deep that it's not that important that it's like super precise, right? I'm just getting the idea across. So let's run that remove background command again. Perfect. Okay. So the great thing is now that I have this like pretty clean look into what the surfaces are doing that follows my sketch, I can duplicate this, or I can just take this and then I can run the prompt again. Sometimes things end up in the wrong place or in front of or behind. You can take this prompt, and we were getting some like not so great results here, but I think that's one of the ways that you can mitigate that is by using some of these more basic block-in palettes, such as car shading, surface sculptor, volume render, and you can hit a first pass of a render there before then prompting with a more kind of like detailed palette, like automotive exterior. So again, let's try this kind of like 100, 90, 80, 70. Are you gonna
I have a question from our audience. Can you save a preset for your batch process? Say, for example, you use 190, 85, 82. Can you save that preset for your batch operation?
That is something that we're working on currently, but we don't have that at the moment. What I like to do, if you're going to use that a lot within a file, is I'll just put in the drawing influence once here, and like you saw me do earlier, just hit Command D, and you can duplicate that node and then just reconnect it to the drawing that you want to use it for.
And then it will save that batch.
Yeah, it'll keep the settings that you have already set for when you were modifying that node before.
Great, that's a great workaround.
Yeah, but we are working on that. BizCom's always a work in progress. We're always listening to your feedback and the things that you want to do, what would help you work faster. So hopefully we'll see that in the coming weeks, maybe even, or months, or shortly in the near future. So yeah, this is kind of like getting to a place that I really like. It's definitely like a little bit scrappy, but what I can do here is upscale this. But I'm not so worried about that right now. I feel like I'm actually kind of diving a little bit too deep into the detailed process here. So let me zoom out and let me take a look at some of these other sketches that I want to do. So one thing that you've seen so far with all the prompting here, or all the output, is that the sketches look very gray. And that's because I haven't prompted for color. Um, that's like a big thing. Color impacts the way that we read a sketch. It's just really important. Um, so let me grab the exterior palettes. Let me run describe on this rear view of this truck. And let me just put in, I don't know, red here. And we'll see what we get. Let's try red, orange. Let's see how specific we can get with the colors. Right, so we'll revisit that. I think that's kind of the thing here. There's like an illustrator. I watched like the Netflix series Abstract, and one of the things that he said that I really love, which is that he's always striving to be a more careless creative person and a more ruthless editor. And that's what I really love about VisCom, is that it allows you to be really carefree about just shooting like 100 different shots and seeing what sticks, you know? So let's try blue here, see what we get. And let's try teal. Let's see, we can get pretty specific with the colors a lot of times. So I just generated 1 instead of 4. Let me do this instead. This can get kind of annoying. So like I said before, select that node, hit Command D, and I copied the old prompt that I wanted. And now I just paste that in. And let's try something really specific. Chartreuse. Yeah. Let's look at what we got here. Okay, so we're getting something interesting. Yeah, these aren't exactly what I was looking for. There's something interesting here, so I might, kind of make that a little bit bigger. But by and large, these aren't exactly what I'm looking for. So let's do kind of the same thing, same workflow that we had before, which is to use like car shading, or one of these kind of surface definition palettes, as I like to call them. Let's run describe again. So yeah, as you can see, I'm already generating a lot of different variations and ideas. This is because I'm still in the early ideation phase of this project. Like, I'm not so set on any one of these directions. There's a lot of like interesting ideas, right? Like this color breakup here, um, you know, with like the rear of the pickup truck, or for example, this idea of maybe these wheel wells are like inset into the hood instead of being, prominent and protruding like I've shown here. There's a lot of different interesting ideas where AI can be like a serendipitous tool and not just like take us directly to the output that we think we want. It helps us explore kind of, yeah, so this is getting kind of close to, the idea of what I'm thinking here. I mean, even this is kind of interesting, right? The way that these surfaces are moving. So now let's try the original prompt here. See what we get. Let's copy that here, and let's try that with this guy as well. Okay. So yeah, I do really like this idea here, which is why I kind of honed in on this one. I think the other ones are a little bit more loose, but this one specifically has something kind of nice about the proportion and the way that this surface works. And I can see that, I can use this image details button to see exactly what settings that I use to generate this with, which is just really useful for like learning and kind of getting an idea of what the program, what kind of inputs you need to put in to get the tool to do what you want it to do. Um, so I can tell that, I like my drawing in between 100 and 90. So what I'm going to do here is I'll duplicate this again. And instead, what I'll do is I'll set this to maybe like 98, 94, and 92 or something like that, right? And I want to get some color into this one. Let's try, I don't know, dark blue here. And let's just kind of spam that button to see what we get. Yeah, okay, so now we're really starting to get somewhere. There's a lot of, like, that's super cool. That's really interesting. There's a lot of ideas to explore here. Um, and so, what I'd usually do at this point is if I start to see a bunch of ideas that I like, I can maybe mark them somehow, like using our new sticky note tool here. I'll just like place that, like there's something really interesting here. There's something really interesting here. I like this guy. That's like super cool and pretty tough looking. Yeah, there's just like a lot of really cool ideas to explore, like in all of these actually. Even some of these are like, there's something that is suggesting here that's like pretty interesting as well. Right, so I can start to kind of take these into Photoshop and do a little bit more of refined photo bashing. But you can kind of see how I'm able to generate so many different ideas and get a lot of inspiration as to what the possibilities are here. Um, just in like, 10, 15 minutes of work with like 6 or 7 sketches.
I have another question. Can you refine and combine you just mentioned that you can take these into Photoshop, but let's say you love two versions within Viscom. Is there a way to combine them and maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. So let's say I wanted this one, this guy, and this one right here. And so that's where you kind of get into like the advantage of like 2D Studio. Maybe not this one. I wanted it to look a little bit more like a pickup truck. What's really giving me that look here? Yeah, maybe one of these. That's where we really get into 2D Studio, right? That kind of sniper rifle approach now that you have something that you like. So what I can do here is I can hit copy as raw image, and I don't know, whichever way, right? But copy it into here, right? So now I can start to use, kind of a lot of the same tools and techniques that you'd use in Photoshop are available in Viscom. But again, the focus is on the AI tools, so we've kind of tried to be really opinionated about the tools. So sometimes with more advanced tools, I like to go to Photoshop, which is why I made that suggestion. But for example, I can hit G, and now I get my selection tool. So what I really like about this is, I think maybe the wheels and the tires, and especially this rear end treatment is really nice. So let me grab that. Oop. Yeah, so that's like something. But let me grab these wheels and tires, and then you have to hit plus in order to add to the selection, right? And then just select this rear end here. And just for good measure, let me get some more of the shadow and all this stuff too. Okay, so then I hit Command C, you know, and so that's like a very rough smashing together of this idea, right? But we can, start to just do the normal things that we do, right? When we are like photo bashing or like, chopping up photos. Uh, so I can hit, it's just all the like things that you do normally in Photoshop, right? So I just hit Alt like you would to select a color, just to kind of block out any of this weirdness back here, right? Yeah, using brackets to increase my brush size, again, like you would in Photoshop. We really tried to be understanding of the fact that you don't really necessarily want to learn a whole new set of tools and ways to do things. That like there is a lot of good stuff in like the quote unquote legacy versions of the software that we can learn from and build on top of as an AI native design tool. But we're still trying to prioritize how we can speed up your process using AI. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So just color, just, um, you know, yeah, color picking, brushing, all the like normal stuff, just to combine these two ideas together, right? Getting rid of any kind of like weirdness that I see that's coming from the AI, right? Like you want to take, just like with anything else, you want to take the good parts of what you can get from any tool and just leave the stuff that maybe it's not so ideal at, but there's, like just seeing these, generations from this set of sketches has inspired a lot of, in my mind, I'm like already running through different ideas of, how to kind of further refine the rear end treatment here. Like this is like I don't know, this is like such a crazy, interesting rear end treatment that I never would have thought of if I was just myself. And it's not perfect, right? Like this is just ideation, but like even our hand sketches aren't exactly perfect. They're just two kind of like stepping stones along that process to get to the the final design. They are, let's not be too precious about exactly having everything exactly right here, right? So yeah, that's great. I've applied that rear end to, I've taken it from this kind of like SUV cab pickup truck with like a bed topper kind of thing, and just taking the part that I like and applied it to this more traditional pickup truck form. And a great thing that I can do if I want to get rid of this kind of like weird gray background, again, is this little drop down here. I can hit canvas snapshot. So what that does is just kind of smashes all the layers together and gives me a composite of all the layers at the very top here. And then I can just run the remove background tool again. And yeah, I might just, add another layer and put maybe I'll grab this guy, duplicate it, and then just only grab the shadow. Just so that, I can ground the vehicle, because shadows are just super important to make the vehicle feel like it's, sitting on solid ground. Yeah. And I can refine this further, but I don't necessarily need to, right? Like I can just move on to, oh, I like this rear end and combine that with some of these other forms too. Yeah, let's take a look at some of these. These are getting interesting. I like, something like this in here, or even that. A lot of cool stuff. That's pretty sweet. As a front end, it's pretty sweet, but maybe expected. So Yeah, you can see just in like, I don't know, a few minutes of work, right? Like I've gotten so many different new directions to explore here. And that's the way that I think at this stage I really like to use Viscom, is a way to kind of just push myself outside of the things that I'm comfortable with, the ideas that I'm comfortable with, the kind of paths that I'm comfortable going down when I design something, into some new, fresh territory. Where are we at with time?
I think that was pretty good for time. And then I think at the end, then I will take maybe one or two more questions. And then how do you want to end?
That is a good question.
You could maybe say, drop in the comments what other kind of tutorials you'd like to see, or what other
Yeah.
kind of demos you'd like to see.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a
and we'll
whole other
just-
workflow that I wanted to get to that
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Yeah. That was really awesome. I
Okay.
have a couple of feedback
Yeah, absolutely.
notes.
Do you want to stop the live? Do you want me to stop the live stream so that we can just?
The first couple of minutes you were a little stiff, but then you really got into it, and like